Hello and welcome back to another Warlords of Draenor video. So today we're going to be taking a look at Kargath Bladefist on LFR difficulty. He's the very first boss of the Highmaul raid instance, so while it's not a particularly complex fight, I actually do think that it's a really fun one that's got some pretty cool mechanics. So basically you fight Kargath inside this big arena, and that's where most of the fighting happens. There is a stadium, or not a stadium, they're like surrounding stands which are full of mobs, and those mobs will just throw stuff at you. But really the main thing that you're dealing with is Kargath himself. Now I'll just go through his abilities here. So the very first one appears to be, it's like a tank ability. I didn't tank my DPS, but what Impale does is, you know, he does it's like 20,000 damage per second to a player for 8 seconds, and assuming that player survives, they take increased damage from consecutive impales. So if you're a tank that's been impaled multiple times, then you're going to get a lot of hurt, so it just seems like a standard tank swap mechanic. Now the next thing that he does is Blade Dance. This is kind of cool. Essentially he starts rushing at random targets, and he basically just appears at your location, does a little whirly AoE thingy, and then jumps to someone else. Now that AoE, of course, is going to hit a lot of people if you're clumped up, so basically for Blade Dance, you just want to make sure that the group is relatively spread out throughout the Colosseum, just to ensure that, you know, multiple people are not getting hit by it. Now the next thing that he does is Berserker Rush. However, before we cover that, I need to talk about the Flame Pillars. You'll notice them on the video, they're just Flame Pillars that are chilling out on the room. They just do damage to anyone who's inside them, so obviously don't go inside the big jets of fire. I would have thought that would be common sense. Now then, Berserker Rush is basically just a fixate, and he will fixate towards one person, he'll start cutting his way towards them, and if any other player gets caught up with that, they'll take a lot of damage, so you just don't want to be near Kargath when he is in Berserker Rush. Now the player who is fixated needs to basically kite Kargath into one of those flame pillars. If you don't, then Kargath will keep on Berserker rushing until either 20 seconds runs out or he kills you. So you definitely need to be on the ball for that one. Now in terms of your positioning, of course, you need to be prepared for Berserker Rush. You need to be behind a flame pillar before it goes off so that you know for a fact that you will be able to kite Kargath into the flame pillar and mitigate that mechanic. Okay, so now that they are covered, well, the next ability that he has is Chain Hurl. He basically just grabs 5 people and throws them into the stands. Now, on LFR difficulty, he grabs a tank, a healer, and 3 DPS. So, and it's the tank with the highest amount of open wound stacks. I forgot to mention open wounds, I believe, is the debuff that you get from Impale. So he basically just takes the tank that cannot currently tank and throws them into the arena, or into the stands, along with a healer and 3 other DPS. Now while you're up on the stands, you will of course want to kill the mobs that are there. Now those mobs will start attacking you, and if you fall under 30% health, you instantly get thrown out of the stands. Now what these mobs do, in terms of the effect on the people who are actually just inside the main little arena place at the bottom, is it's kind of mundane, but I suppose it's only the first boss. So there are 2 different kinds of guys that matter. There's the Drunken Bile Slingers and the Iron Bombers. Now the Bile Slingers will basically just put that green goo on the floor, so that's not very nice. And they also do a thing called Vile Breath, which will stun anyone in front of them, so that's relevant if you're up there trying to kill them. Next, we've got the Iron Bombers. They basically just throw these bombs at players, which I think they're like a definite hit, so they will hit you. They're guaranteed damage against the raid, so you really do need to make sure that the Iron Bombers are being taken out because of those iron bombs. They also do a firebomb, which just explodes and does damage to anyone who is near it. So that's basically what's going on with them. Finally, there are Iron Grunts, and I think, yeah, they just grab a player who's up in the stands with them, and that reduces their movement speed and does some damage to them. But basically, if you get grabbed by Kargath's chain hurl thingy, you just kill mobs up there until you run out of health, and you'll be ported back down. And really, that's how the fight goes. While you're on the bottom, you just want to not, you don't want to stand in any of the crap that's going on, because there's a decent amount of stuff being thrown around. You want to ensure that you can always kite Berserker Rage into one of the flame pillars, and that really is about it. The chain hurl mechanic is taken care of for you because the game will automatically throw people up and throw them back down. So that really is the fight. It's very easy to understand as long as people just ensure that they don't mess up with Berserker Rush, because I was in 1 or 2 attempts where basically everyone got killed because they were clumped up in the middle and someone just kited Berserker Rush through them, and yeah, lots of people died. So that was lovely. But anyway, that's Kargath Bladefist. I think he's a really fun boss. Let me know what your impressions are from watching this video. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.